We're on.
Perfect. Good day, everybody. This is Brian Tarian from the Disability Digest, and welcome to our Wednesday YouTube live event today. We've got a great program in store for you. We have a guest with us today, Liz Graham. Thank you for joining us, Liz.
You're welcome. It's nice to be here. Thank you, Brian.
Yes, yes. And for those of you out there, if you're coming back and you've watched these shows before, thank you. If you're new, of course, we welcome you here at the Disability Digest. We do three things, a little bit more than that, but we focus on helping people get their disability benefits approved. And once you're approved, we help people understand what they can do to keep them, maximize them, and then we work to help people maybe return to work, housing, and other related issues. So keep and maximize your benefits are what we focus on. So that's it. So of course, we hope that you enjoy the show. If you do, we encourage you to subscribe, ring that bell, and give it a share out there to others that may benefit from this information. So for today, this is a unique experience because I've got to say, Liz, I've kind of been stalking you to get you out here because you are a very unique, inspiring, have a unique, inspiring story where you're a disability recipient that has transitioned back into work.
Yeah.
And your work is, in my opinion, very influential in helping people understand how to deal with traumatic events. So thank you in advance.
Thank you. Sure.
And what I will say this to those listening out here, we are both in Vermont, which we probably have 10 members in the state of Vermont. So this is unique. And I do have to give a shout out to Vermont because it has the fastest Social Security approval time in the entire US right now. So
Wow.
Go green.
There you go.
Yeah, but you wouldn't want to move here. It's not very nice here.
Not today.
No. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So let's get into this. And of course, Jam is here and we're going to there's some questions that have been put up in the room. If you'd be kind enough to answer those, that will help us out. And we're going to take some questions at the end that you may have that are relevant for Liz or general interest questions. All right. Okay. So Liz, let's start with, you've been a disability recipient for a while, right?
Yes, since 2004.
2004. Okay. And that was a while ago. Is there anything that stood out about the approval process for you?
Unfortunately not. I really don't remember that part of getting my disability. I became very depressed and had a major depressive episode and just could not work. And I'm told that I did fill out all of the paperwork needed. I did everything I needed to do to get disability, although I don't remember doing it. So
right.
I did do it. I'm sure I had help. I know my doctor was involved. So.
Yeah. Well, some people want to forget about it. So for you, it was natural, right?
Yeah, it really, I just know that one day I was told that, oh, okay, that's awesome that I'm getting money so I can actually live and not worry about being homeless.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's the whole focus of the program. What was it you were doing before you were approved professionally?
I am a marriage and family therapist. I'm pre-licensed. I should be licensed by now, but it took 22 years or so to get back on track. And I was working in a drug and alcohol facility, mostly for people just out of prison, mandated people.
Okay. So somebody goes to prison, drug and alcohol dependency. That's your niche.
Yes. And where there is addiction, and I can safely say there's always some kind of underlying issue, mental illness issue.
If there's an addiction.
Yes. So
Interesting.
it's dual diagnosis.
Okay, okay. Huh. Was that work here in Vermont?
I believe so. Yes, where I was working, I couldn't do mental health. It was strictly opiate dependent.
Okay,
And all I did was work with the addiction piece.
yep.
And it was very hard not to work with the other piece because it's so relevant.
Wow, wow. That's pretty heavy work.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, do you have any indication if that somehow had an influence on the challenges that you went through that forced you to stop working? The type of work that you were doing?
No, not at all.
Mm-hmm.
I worked, it took me, well, I'm a high school dropout. So when I was about 31, I decided I'm just going to go to school because, I got sober, and you lose all
Mm-hmm.
your, and I had literally nothing to do. So I said, well, I'm going to go to school then, and I'm going to see if I can be a therapist. So I did.
Wow, that's cool. All
Yeah,
right.
it was quite fun, quite a ride.
Yeah, yeah, this is getting good. Okay, so approved for disability, and at what point in time were you like, I want to start working on like getting back in, getting back to work?
Well, actually, for me, the thought of not going back to work was never really, it was never really, like, I didn't really think, oh, you'll never go back to work. But as the years went by, I mean, it took 22 years for me to recover, and
Mm-hmm.
to recover to the point where I felt it was ethical for me to work with people in the,
Mm-hmm.
and so it was only, I think, around 2015 when I started to feel like, I'm getting older, and maybe I missed the boat. I won't be able to even use my education and go to work and go back to work because it's too late for me. And that was really my only problem.
Mm-hmm.
My worry was it was too late.
Too late. Yeah. You know what
I wasted too much time. Oh, I don't know what just happened. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
There it is.
Um, I'm impressed with your mindset that you always were focused. You had your eyes on the prize, right? Um,
Yeah.
I feel that's critical for people because if they give up that, um, then, and that's important to them. I mean, I don't want to step out of bounds here and say that I'm a counselor, but I mean, I just think that if you have that goal and you're always moving toward it, maybe you take two steps forward one day and,
Uh,
three back the next, right? But you're
yeah,
moving.
for sure. It
Yeah.
is absolutely not linear. It's not a straight line. It is a lot of disappointment, a lot of wanting to give up, a lot of like, really, do I have to go through this again? Um, there was a lot of obstacles for sure.
Mhm.
And on top of being depressed.
Yeah. Yeah. So we chatted a little bit about this before the show started. I mean, your situation is unique, as most are,
Mhm.
but I think one common denominator is that we are learning is if they have that mindset to just continue to move forward. Is there any like, is this something that you had a process on a daily basis, like, be it journaling or things that you did that were always moving you closer to the goal?
Um, well, I think when I think that when I decided I absolutely have to try, and I'm gonna say that that was probably somewhere around 2016.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, at that time I was doing odd jobs like dog walking and dog sitting.
Yep.
For me, I knew that I needed to find a good therapist that knew a lot about post-trauma
Mm-hmm.
and could help me to uh, learn how to keep my feelings in check uh, when I got triggered, and to really kind of step by step, literally. I don't want to, it may sound weird, but it's like sometimes when you're a trauma survivor, you get stuck in the age emotionally where you were at your biggest trauma point. And I knew I needed help to kind of grow up. I needed to, accomplish some things emotionally and, you know, uh, basically emotionally, in order to get my head back into the game.
Interesting. I've heard a similar statement like that about being stuck in an age for addicts. Maybe you know this because you've dealt with them, right? Is that true?
Yes, and I'm also an addict. So,
Okay.
uh,
Okay.
yeah, I believe it is true, because what happens is your brain, our brains don't stop developing until our early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
So start doing drugs at 14 or 15 years old, that screws with your brain chemistry,
Sure.
and it doesn't work right as it should.
Right. Right. And that's when, there is the exposure to that, unfortunately, in our society. Whole other topic. I just,
Yeah.
um, all right. So step by step process, you're on your way. And you said you tried in 2016. Was that right?
Well, I believe that's when I made the decision that I needed to actually start making a plan.
Okay.
I think that making a plan was part of why I was successful in getting back to work.
All right. There any like key parts of your plan that you think would be effective for others?
Well, I know for me, like I said, finding somebody to work with um,
Yep.
is essential.
Yep.
Also had two very prominent friends who were supportive.
Okay.
That was essential. Just somebody who really believes in you, and when you just feel like forget it, it's too hard. It's never going to happen. I'm 50 now. I'm 59, and I just went back to work this year when I turned 59.
Yes.
And I just thought, just people to try and help you, say, look, you just take it if you have to take it 1 minute at a time, that's what you have to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So a good counselor, therapist, and that could even be, or could it even be, like at Voc Rehab, they have benefit planners. Could it be somebody that falls into that category?
Absolutely.
Yep.
And especially if somebody knows, about the workforce and what you need.
Yeah.
Get back, like my resume, for example, I could never have written myself.
Mm-hmm.
I had help with that. I
Right.
didn't do that on my own.
Okay. And then the second piece was like, I call them your 3 o'clock in the morning friends, right?
Exactly.
That'll actually answer the phone if you need them. I feel everybody needs to have their 3 a.m. crew. So that group right there, that
Yeah.
will help you. And Yeah, is there an accountability component to that where you're saying, okay, this is what I want to do, and you're asking for their support? Did you do that, or? Um,
You mean accountability
okay, let me be
as
more
far?
specific, saying, okay, listen, my end goal here is I want to get back to work. I'm sharing this with you because these are some of the steps that I'm gonna do.
Mhm.
Right, and we're good friends, and you know, whether you ask them to hold you accountable or not is what my question is.
Oh, hold them accountable.
No, vice versa. They hold you
Oh,
accountable for doing the action steps, right? So,
absolutely.
yeah,
In fact, I'm not talking like I had a group of people. I had two people.
yep.
One of those was kind of in and out during the time I really started to do the hard work,
Mm-hmm.
emotionally. And, but my husband was always just right there,
Cool.
always, no matter what.
Yep. Yep. That's great. Um, any other components to this? Or are those really the key drivers?
I think if you can put together a few people that are willing to invest their time, and like you said, and you have to also be accountable. You can't just say, well, I wish this would happen, or I wish somebody would, email me with the job. You actually, well, I'm probably getting ahead of myself, because before that, like I said, I had a lot of emotional work to do, and that took time. That took several years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're talking about, when I say take your time, I really mean it. I mean,
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
22, it took me 22 years to fully recover from my disability.
Well, beautiful. You're there now.
Yeah.
You look at like your situation, or like, uh, at my age, I've friend group, stay-at-home moms. They've gone through the cycle of kids. They've been out of work for, 15, 18 years, similar thing. So my question becomes, like, what obstacles did you face? Like, you have a resume, but there's been a big blank,
That's
like
right.
a few years of inactivity. Like, did that, what,
Yeah.
what, what happened with that? How was that addressed?
Yeah. That was absolutely an issue. And I had to explain that.
Yeah.
And I had to explain it in a way that was professional, and not give away all sorts of intimate details.
Right.
And um, I, there are people. First of all, I think that there are a lot of jobs out there right now. People are desperate for workers,
Yeah.
and
I remember that.
I think that, I mean, there was my agency, my clinic, my supervisor. She gave me a chance. She said, she said she could tell that even though I had a lapse, and everything had turned to electronic while I was in my, you know, illness, um, she thought, I know you can do it. So, and if it wasn't, I mean, and that she wasn't the only one. She was just the one I thought, wow, this woman is, I like her. I really want to learn
Cool.
from.
Cool. Well, that's great. Um, do you have any apprehensions about this social security system, and, the your benefits, keeping your benefits, and the risk kind of reward factor of going back to work? What was on your mind about that?
You mean being terrified that I might not be able to continue working and lose everything?
And
Uh,
lose your benefits. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I'm sure everybody out there that's approved, that's thinking about this, that's on their mind, man. Yeah.
certainly that absolutely was a factor. And
Hmm.
um, I think that I just, I remember deciding that I was just going to um, be myself, warts and all, and of course be professional. But I just decided that, there are, I guess I'm getting lost in my thoughts. So can you ask the question again? I'm sorry.
So the question, Liz, is, the apprehension that you had, if
Yes,
any, which it sounds like you did, about, okay, I want to go work, but I have my check, if, and you get both while you're starting the process. You still get your check,
right.
you double dip, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
But so that's my question. Like, what were some of the concerns that you've had? Have you had any problems? How has it gone? That's where I'm going with this.
Well, for me, I wanted to be absolutely sure in myself that I really felt rock steady on my feet.
Mm-hmm.
I was out of my depression. I was consistent. I felt consistent emotionally, even though I had bad days, certainly, but it wasn't like being in a deep depression. Wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the thing I needed to be sure of. And I trusted my therapist, and she was very helpful in saying, I think that you're absolutely ready to give it a try. And I love what I do. I mean, I never thought I'd go to school, but I did, and I put myself through school. And I guess that's one of the things. I had my degree before I got sick.
Okay.
But I really worked hard for that degree, and I really, I just like the idea of helping people understand that you don't be where you come from, I think is my biggest,
Mm-hmm.
that's a big thing for me. You can come from the worst place in the world and you can still do well for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. I mean, I I look at the whole brain health type thing as, yeah, I don't know how somebody can go through life. This is my perspective, which is not always correct, mind you, but it's mine. How they can go through life and not have some type of challenge, right? Of
Of
course,
course.
the degree of severity is going to be different. And one of the messages that you had is, get a counselor or do that. And there's people that we talk to that, they likely do, but they don't pursue it because maybe it's an identity thing or they don't want to be stereotyped. But I mean, even me from a professional perspective, I rely on coaches, counselors, therapy. I'll take all the help I can get because,
Absolutely.
yeah. So if you're listening out there and you're still not quite there yet, give it a try, right? I don't know. That's my
Yeah, but there's also the fear of going out of your comfort zone. So that's also
Oh,
a factor.
right.
and for years while I was working, I was doing a very specific therapy for my circumstance, and I was terrified that, and there were times where I was positive that I would never be able to get back to who I was,
Mm-hmm.
and actually never did. I'm, of course, completely different, and I think for the better. But yes, I spent. I think I spent about 2 solid years thinking, are you crazy? What do you think you're doing? You're set, you're barely making it, but and I just said, I have to go for it. I just have to.
Nice, nice. Before we transition to the next piece, just a shout out to all you that are listening to Liz's story out there. Thank you for joining. We are going to take some time at the end. If you have specific questions for Liz, you can enter those in the chat and Jam will manage those. And then at the end, we'll take some general interest questions. So let's slightly change gears and talk about one of your areas of expertise, if we will, which is dealing with traumatic events.
Yes.
And traumatic events like one that
Yes.
you went
Hi.
through, and I'm sure traumatic events come in different shapes, sizes, forms. I mean, could a traumatic event be simply just getting that all of a sudden diagnosis? Right? Traumatic event?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, I think that a lot of people walk around not realizing that the reason they feel the way they is because of trauma. They
Mhm.
don't remember, or they have a family who like just blows everything off and like, oh, that was no big deal. Or and maybe for the person who, I know I just always felt crazy. I just always thought, well, you're just crazy and that's your problem. So and then I realized, well, maybe there's a reason for that. And
Yeah.
turned out that there was. And
Mhm.
it doesn't matter if anybody agrees with you. If you feel it's important, if you feel whatever you went through is important, that makes it important.
Yeah. Yeah. How would you define traumatic event, like a 1 or a 2 sentence statement? Is there something that you could say that would sum it up other than my kind of layman's version of it?
I think a traumatic event means that you went through something that was very like life altering, very serious.
Mhm.
The way you think about yourself, and for whatever amount of time, you have absolutely no control over that. So you can often feel victimized. Um, and then, and some people stay there because they don't, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yes, I think that anything that you feel has harmed you,
Mhm.
where you had no control.
Mhm. So that could be
It could be war. It could,
war.
you're in a
Yeah.
car,
Yep.
you, you're raped, you,
Domestic.
Yep.
yes, sexually assaulted, you're incest or sex abuse survivor, um, all sorts.
Mhm.
Um, you know,
Uh,
Or death of a loved one. So,
death of a loved one.
oh,
Yep.
absolutely, especially at a young age.
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, because
Yep.
you're on your own when you're little, and that's very scary. I was, and that's really scary.
Mhm. Mhm. And a lot of those go untreated, all right? I mean,
Like,
yeah, yeah. So you don't solve anything, you just somehow move beyond it, I guess, but it's still there without it being addressed.
it
Yeah.
is, and I think that it can keep you stuck because a lot of times, in my situation, and a lot of people who I've worked with as a professional, they hear for their whole lives is, stop making a big deal out of it. It was nothing. Just get over it.
Mm,
And that is ridiculous.
right,
It's
right.
ridiculous. And anybody that says that to you, I'm going to say, is either terrified about that situation themselves or doesn't have your best interest at
Mhm.
hand.
Yeah. When it actually requires medical attention.
Yeah.
And telling, and
Mhm.
because a lot of trauma is about keeping secrets, and to be willing to expose yourself to somebody that you hardly know and say, this is what happened to me, can you help me, is very, very brave.
It is. Yeah, I'm learning something I feel that is very important for myself as well as hopefully others out there, that if you are not able to deal with and process and resolve
Hmm?
these traumatic events in your life, doesn't matter who you are, able-bodied or not,
Right.
you are putting yourself in a situation where you're going to be limiting yourself, right? Okay.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, and I don't I don't expect, I don't know if there's a skill set for one size fits all. I don't know, is there? I mean, if you learn how to deal, like if you learning how to deal with your situation and what you have gone through on the spectrum of difficulty, I'm going to say it's got to be up there, right?
Mhm.
So with that, what you've learned how to do, does that make it easier for you to deal with other possible traumatic events?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yes,
Okay.
because I've I've had help kind of going through the different um human beings need to go through certain different stages
Yeah,
in order to become mature adults. And if that gets cut off somewhere
yeah.
and you stop at 15, but you're a smart 15-year-old and you've always survived, well,
Mhm.
no, that's not bad. And for a lot of people, that's how they feel. And you're right, that isn't bad. But because I've had both experiences, I recommend trying to just feel better, if that's even
Right,
just
right,
feel better.
right. Yeah, for me, what resonates with me first is being humble enough to understand that there is something that has happened, right? There's an event that's happened. Um, and then allow yourself to get help. And once, like we talked about, once you have this skill set that you've acquired, perhaps you can deal with other ones, but if you can't, maybe you know where to go,
Exactly.
how to resolve them. Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, no human being is ever going to know everything there is to know.
Well,
I
I
mean,
do. I do have one friend though, like that. I think he knows that. I call him the second smartest man in the world. Uh,
wow.
but other than that, I agree with you.
Yeah, that must be quite a lot of heavy responsibility there.
Well, he's great. He's one of my 3 a.m. in the morning guys, because I know if I need an answer, he's going to tell me something. Um, yeah. Um, so so this could be helpful tying back into, well, it was for you, and helping address things so that people could pursue their ambitions of returning to work if they so chose, or maybe it's something else that they want to do in life, but unless it's dealing with this, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really essential, is to
Mhm.
just try to be honest with yourself. And if you suspect that something may have happened to you, if you're 25 years old and all of a sudden you don't feel like something is wrong, you know that something is wrong, you just don't know
Yeah,
what it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Follow that instinct.
Right, right. Um, now, I have two thoughts on this. My first one is in my personal experience in working with some people professionally. You know, certainly some are better than others, and I've had experiences where I am working with a therapist or a counselor, and the only thing that they seem to do is just kind of feedback, right?
Yep.
And say, well, how does that make you feel? And I'm like, it makes me feel like shit. I just told you that, right? So if somebody's out there listening, they're like, well, I'm going to somebody now, and it's not like, right? So I don't know if you can speak to like what may be the fit. How do you know if you're in a fit?
I I only know the feedback I have gotten as a professional therapist,
Yep.
and that is especially in my recent job. A lot of people were surprised that I like asked them about themselves
Mm-hmm.
or found something, like I had somebody who was trying very hard, and instead of buying heroin off the street, he was buying Suboxone. And I said, you really need to be congratulated for not choosing heroin and using Suboxone to try to stay clean. And that never occurred to him. It just never occurred to him to think that that was a good thing.
Step in the
And
right direction.
Yeah, so I think that you want somebody who asks you questions. And I think that people can tell, like, if somebody is just sitting there repeating what you've just told them, you really don't waste your time.
Right.
Just go and find somebody else. There's a lot of good therapists out there,
Mhm.
and there's also a lot of people that don't know what they're doing.
Interesting.
And you just have to follow your gut. If it feels bad, you know,
Right.
some that's all we have to go on.
Like any working relationship, right? You need to.
Right. But a lot of people think that's normal. Like, well, it must be me. It's like, no, it's not.
Right.
If you
Right.
don't feel like you're getting anywhere, find somebody else.
Okay. And what advice or direction do you have for somebody that may be out there that's kind of sitting on the fence and they haven't taken any action? They don't have a therapist. Like, they have to go to their primary, get a referral. Do you know the typical process that people go through to get started?
To get started in to get therapy.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I know that you can be referred certainly by your
Mm-hmm.
by your medical doctor. Some places in like in Burlington Community Health Center has a whole staff of therapists,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all in one building, and
Mhm.
I think that's a really helpful thing to
Okay.
have in, you know, the biggest city. But yes, you know, and if you have disability, then you probably have um, uh, insurance through the
Right.
state, and most people take that. My therapist is incredible, and she takes
Mhm.
that.
Right. Yeah, I know. As you know, because we manage your insurance for you.
Mhm.
There's you can do remote therapy through most
Yes.
Medicare Advantage plans. You could do it in person if you wanted to, so that would be a good place to start.
Mhm.
I'm also going to think back that if you're going to go to a benefit counselor, they may know of somebody that could help you with your plan that's in line with that, right? Uh,
Absolutely.
to cut down the sifting process. Yeah, like my mother says, you have to go through a lot of dirt before you find the gold. That was her one bit of dating advice that she gave me. I'm like, thanks, Mom. I'll take it from here.
Yeah. Yeah, there are even schools with resource centers.
Yeah.
If you want to understand how to even apply for a class. See, that's how I started. I applied for one class,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought they're going to laugh me out of the building, and
Yeah.
they did. They didn't, and it was like, all right.
Mhm. All right, this has been great. I want to just recap a few things, see if we have it right here. With the primary part for somebody to take action, whether it be for work or get better or whatever their plan is, as we talked about getting some help first, right?
Yes.
Right. So that help could be benefit planner, combination of therapy or both. And get your 3 a.m. folks around you, your friends that'll support you.
Well, you need one. You just need one person.
Just need one. Yep.
Well, you need one, and then you need the other people to try to give, you know, that person a break sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it doesn't take a lot, you know, if you can get a small group going of
Mhm.
people who support you,
Mm-hmm.
there's no reason that you can't have anything that you desire. That's my belief.
Yep. 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 And for those of you listening out there, if you don't have a buddy system in place, you can jump in our Facebook group, see if you can find one. I don't feel it's going to be the same thing as somebody that you have a standing rapport with, but some form of accountability. All right, Jam, I am not able to see the questions. Do we have any questions for Liz from the audience out there?
Yeah, here's one. Liz, how are you able to go to school and keep your benefits? I thought going back to school could lose your benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in my case, I went to school before I became ill.
Mm-hmm.
So I I had my own business of cleaning houses and I went to school at night. So, although I believe I had Medicaid because it's Vermont,
Mhm.
um, I, yes, I had gotten my degree before. I had gotten sick and on Social Security disability, but I believe you can go to school, can't you, and still keep your benefits?
Yeah, I can speak to that. You can definitely go to school. What they look at when I say they, Social Security, is that your engaged activity on an hourly basis is less than 20 hours a week. So if you took, what, 1 or 2 classes,
Yeah,
you could definitely do that. And I do know, like many universities, if you're a disability recipient, there's ways in which you can get assistance and funding and continuing education. So for sure, that's a great avenue for people. Good question.
yes.
Yeah, this is not really related to Liz, but will I lose my Medicare if I do cryptocurrency? Can you explain a little on that topic, please?
So how about we make this generic, because it's crypto, or it could be returning to work in any format. And Liz, you know the answer to this, right? I believe you do, because you had asked me about it. What's the status with your Medicare when you return to work?
I still receive Medicare. I'm still on Medicare. And with a full-time job.
Mhm.
And I know that can last quite some time, as I
Right,
understand it,
right.
so that you don't have to pay out of your check to be covered by work, and it helps you. That really, really helps you get back on your feet.
Mhm, mhm. I don't remember the number of months, because we're not commonly asked that question. But I remember when I sent the information to you, I was like, wow, that's a long time.
I
So, yeah,
Yes, I believe you said it was it was a like 2 to 4 years.
something like that. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a long time.
yeah,
It really is.
yeah. So just a hypothetical, rolling it forward. You work, you go through your trial work 9 months, and then you're off and you're on just your income, but you would still have your Medicare coverage for up to whatever the definitive line is,
Mhm.
2 or 3 years. So it goes for a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is a really good feeling, because that's
Yeah,
scary.
yeah, yeah. Jam, you're doing great. You have any more?
Thank you. Yeah, how long does an income or resource review take to get the results? I've been one since 1997. I guess she's meaning to say she's been on disability since 1997.
Mhm.
And had a continuing disability review? Is that what the question is?
Um, income or resource review. I think
Oh,
so.
so this individual would be on not Social Security disability, would likely be on SSI. And I don't know the answer to that. So what they'll do from time to time, if you don't qualify for disability, you get SSI or welfare, and they'll review your assets on a periodic basis to determine if you still qualify or if your check amount should go up and down. And I don't know, because each state has their different process and timelines. And I'm not sure where you are. Even if I did, I wouldn't know the answer to that.
Okay. Do I have to enjoy Ticket to Work? And do I have to get Medicare and Medi-Cal?
Oh, okay. So Liz, this would be a good one if I could defer to you.
Sure.
You did this on your own without the Ticket to Work program? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I guess the answer would be yes, as we've interviewed others. You can go back to work totally independent and take a path like Liz did, or you can use a more organized approach through a benefit planner going into the Ticket to Work program.
Hmm.
It's a different option.
Okay. Um, This is Brenda. She was agreeing. She was also in forensics, RN, mental health and addiction, crime, poverty.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah, welcome. Here's one. I was approved in December, was told you all would have someone call me on my Medicare. Disregard this one. This is our current Medicare client. Sorry for that. Disability is a safety net, not a retirement, and I feel that some people use it as such instead of trying to get better if they can. What's
Hmm.
your take on these?
So the question being, some people kind of settle for the disability as opposed to using that as help for however long it takes you to get back on your feet. It's a question, do I agree?
Well,
It's not
it's one of
really
those
like a
damned if
statement.
you
It's
do and damned if
more
you
like a
don't
statement.
things. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
I-
I'll chime in on it this way. I don't think, in my professional opinion, in working, there's 192,000 people here, so I have the opportunity to meet a lot of people.
Mhm.
One is of the get approved and sit on the couch with the clicker mindset.
Mhm.
It's not healthy. That's what intrigues me about your story so much, is that you had the mindset from early on
Mhm.
to move forward. So, I'm going to go with everybody's right on this, because there may be some people in that camp that are not going. And there's some people, they've had major health issues, a stroke, can't talk, can't move. I get it, but they could still have the mindset, right, Liz?
That's right.
To
That's right.
get in the very best position that they could get in, so they're the best you or me that they can be.
Yes, I also think that there are people who once they get on disability, honestly feel that, well, this is it for me. This is my life. They don't even realize they have options, and they do. And that's really exciting to learn that you really do have options. You always have.
Right. Good questions.
Okay. Do you have to have a ticket to work if you make under 1,000 a month limit?
No. So, in other videos and events that we've covered, we've done deep dives into this. So if you're going to work and do something part-time on your own and your earnings are below $1,050 a month, you can do that each and every month without having any impact on your monthly check, your Medicare, or anything. It's when you cross the threshold, like, Liz, you went right back into full-time work. No,
Yes.
you're working part-time.
No, full-time.
Full-time. Oh, impressive. Very few people do that. So when you do that, then you're going over that amount, and then that gets you into the trial work period. You've got 9 months. You can earn unlimited amount of money over the lifetime of your benefits. It puts you on a different trajectory. French, talk with their hands.
Italian.
Okay. This one's from Caleb. Recently switched from nurse practitioner to psychiatrist. Was that the right move, or does it not matter? My question is, does Social Security view nurse practitioners differently than psychiatrists?
Liz, you want to take a shot at that one?
My gut says that they may. So this person had a PA and then moved to a psychiatrist, correct?
Yep.
Or was it vice versa? Which came first, Jim?
Nurse practitioner and then psychiatrist.
Okay.
And it's amazing to me when people say they've gotten a psychiatrist, because I know in this state it's very limited. Psychiatry is limited, but it's also, I think, helpful if that psychiatrist can help you understand what's happening with you, and then maybe even recommend somebody to talk to, because therapists or psychiatrists, that's really not their job. Their job is medication, how to help you become stable and then do some work. And so I think she's in a good spot then to go from there to talk to someone.
I want to make sure I understand this. So what you are saying is that a psychiatrist, although they're on the medication side, is that it's important for them to understand what is going on, what the challenge is, so it's properly treated. Did I get that right?
Well, I think that, yes, I'm guessing that she sought out a psychiatrist because mental health issues. So, although a psychiatrist can talk to you and process with you what's happening, I think the main job of your psychiatrist is to properly diagnose, which is something that I don't think that, no offense to nurse practitioners, I don't think they have the experience to really diagnose like a psychiatrist can. There's a big difference.
Right.
And I think the psychiatrist perhaps can be helpful in finding someone to talk to.
Okay, I have one thought on this about the view from Social Security. I agree with you, Liz, that a nurse practitioner is not viewed in the same level of treatment. But if you are approved for your disability benefits, and this is a treatment regime that has been given to you, and you're following it, then you are in compliance with having the boxes checked so that if and when you get a review, that everything's going to be okay. All right, Jan. Any more?
This is more like a statement, but if you're working and Social Security finds out without their knowledge, and you will be automatically terminated from disability and owe them all the money you got from SSA while you work.
I don't agree with that statement. You definitely are not in compliance, but you'll get an overpayment charge and you'll have to prove your innocence. Happens commonly where people are like, I didn't know I had to tell people I was making $50,000 a year and still getting my benefits, but.
Okay, this one's from Kathleen. I'm afraid to go out to work and lose my benefits while finding out I can't make it in a work environment. If you lose your benefits while working, how hard is it to regain your SSDI benefits?
Liz, you want to go first?
Well, my first thought is that the beautiful thing about having Social Security disability is that you do get 9 months and you can go to work part-time just to see how it feels to you. And if it, 3 or 4 months in, you feel like this is too much for me, I'm not ready yet.
Right.
You can just step back. And I think that's an amazing feature of the Social Security disability.
My thought on this is, again, I applaud you from going from not working to full-time, but what I encourage people to strongly consider is the walk before you run. And that could be earning a stable amount of money in the $500, $600, $700 range, 15 hours a week, 10 hours a week, or maybe it's even peeling it back a step before that, where you're volunteering. You're working at your Center for Independent Living, your local church. You're putting yourself in a situation of activity so that you can demonstrate that you're able to perform on a consistent basis, and then take it, because in my opinion, that will reduce your concern, fear, increase the probability.
That's a really great suggestion, because like my thought is Habitat for Humanity. I mean, they're always looking for volunteers, and it's a chance to find out, like, well, 3 days a week, can I get up and take a shower and go and talk to these people and interact and then come home and feel okay? And that's fantastic. And you still get to keep all your, that's like a trial period before even going to work part-time. I think that's a great idea.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
Here's one for Liz. Did you have to deal with anxiety of losing benefits? How do your recommendation dealing with it from personal experience and as a counselor?
Yes, I absolutely, I had to deal with anxiety about losing benefits. But I think that for me now, because I've been at it, at work for some time now, I feel pretty certain that I'm in the right spot.
Mhm.
And if I didn't feel that way, I would absolutely have backed off or gone to part-time. You really have to listen to yourself, I think, and just allow yourself to be where you're at. It's not that it's not a contest.
Mhm.
It's a process.
Right. Right. And if you had not done that and would have listened to those internal voices, my age, and I've been out of it for so long, right? You could have talked
Yeah.
yourself right out of it. Yeah.
Oh, I did that almost every day at some point. Yeah.
All
All
right,
right,
Jam,
here's a,
two more. We want to be respectful of Liz's time.
Oh.
yeah, another one for Liz. I went back to school for my CASAC and graduated. Is that CASAC? How can I work from home or in person without going over the SGA limit or SSDI? Because the pay rate is about $25 per hour to start, and I can only do 20 hours per month.
Is that a therapist type?
I'm not
degree?
really sure.
I'm not sure either what it is.
Okay,
Let's
Recognize.
say that it is.
Okay.
can you follow up, Kathleen? Kathleen asked that question.
So if it is, then the question is, how could somebody do part-time therapy and stay under the SGA?
I think it depends upon the clinic and what they're looking for. And you could even go and talk to the person, who's hiring and
Mhm.
saying, "This is my situation, and this is what I'd really like. This is what I'm comfortable with starting out with. Do you think you might have a
Right.
place for me?"
Right.
Okay, substance use counselor.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, congratulations. That's great.
Yeah.
You're in high demand. Um, yes. So, and she's doing that remotely.
Hmm. I think she would like to. That's where the question
Yeah.
becomes like, how can she do it remotely at $25 an hour and stay under the SGA? If you had one, maybe two clients, right?
Yes.
Even more than that, probably.
Yeah, I'd be curious if she was working for an agency or if she was doing this on her own.
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's the limiting part. But you can do what you're doing to find out. Do you think that you're stable enough to do this on a regular basis and be okay? And you
Mhm.
have to figure that out.
Mhm.
Okay, well, waiting for her response. Here's one from Matt. What happens to your retirement amount when you reach full retirement? How does it affect your retirement amount and after not working so many years?
So is this a disability recipient? Do we know?
I'm not sure.
Well, I'd have to, I'll presume, and I'll go two different directions. If you return to work, like Liz has, and you're working and paying taxes, then you're going to influence your Social Security check amount, right? More taxes you pay, check goes up. If you're a disability recipient and you're not going back to work and you're just gonna work part-time, and that, then you can expect your disability check to be the same until you reach full retirement age. It will still be the same. It'll just transition to, from a disability recipient to a full retirement age individual. That's my kind of shot at answering that question. All right, Jim, I said 2, but is there one more in there that?
Well,
We
there's
should
a follow-up
address.
from Kathleen. I'm not working now.
All right, I forgot the other question. What was the rest of her question?
She was the one who got the substance use counselor,
Oh,
Mhm.
she's not working.
graduated.
Yeah. A thought would be put together a plan, how many hours you can work, what you're gonna earn, so that you stay under the SGA, and go shop your plan to different places. See what you can come up with.
Yes, and like I said, truly, that's not an easy certification to get. So that's great. And they really are licensed or certified drug and alcohol counselors are in demand for sure.
That's good. That's good. Well, listen, we're gonna wrap up the show here today. So for all of you out there, and Disability Digest land, put your hands together for Liz. Thank you so much for coming.
Liz.
This has been amazing. Your story is truly inspirational. And I wish you well in your on your endeavor. We'd love to have you back someday if you're up for
I
it.
have to do that. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for you know, saying what about being inspirational. I'm that makes me happy.
No, it is. It is. So, and as always, Jam, thank you for your great
Sure
work.
thing.
And all of you out there, we'll be back here next week, Wednesday, 12:15.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank
Make
you,
it a
Liz.
great day, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.